The Bad Batch, a Star Wars show that followed an elite squad of clone troopers known as Clone Force 99, aka the Bad Batch, during the rise of the Empire after the Clone Wars and Order 66. During the show, we got to see a lot of things that were answered that we didn't know or think to wonder about. Let's take a look at the top 5 things the Bad Batch answered in Season 1. Quick disclaimer and warning, if you haven't seen the Bad Batch, then this is your spoiler warning right here. So do yourself a favor if you haven't watched it and go watch it. First up at number 1 is seeing how Kanan Jarrus escapes Order 66. In the Rebel series, we're introduced to Jedi Knight Kanan Jarrus, a survivor of Order 66 and master Ezra Bridger. Throughout the series, we got hints on Kanan's feelings about the Clone Wars and a little explanation to Ezra about Order 66, but never a detailed story of how he survived. Now, we already knew how he escaped from the book Star Wars Kanan the Last Padawan, but thanks to the Bad Batch, we got to see exactly how that happened on screen with a few changes. The Bad Batch were on collar along with Kanan as Jedi Master Deba Balaba when Order 66 was given. Master Balaba was killed almost instantly, but managed to hold off a few rounds of shots for Caleb to run away. Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch were confused as to what just happened because their inhibitor chips didn't activate. Hunter and Crosshair run after Caleb to try and help him. Crosshair, whose chip was somewhat activated under the influence of Order 66, tried to kill Kanan, but Hunter saved the young Padawan. Hunter tries to explain to Kanan that he's just trying to help, but being chased and just seeing his master brutally murdered, Kanan jumps across the cliff to safety where he disappears into hiding. Hunter then explains to the rest of the squad that he shot the Jedi Padawan down, but his intentions were the opposite. It's cool to see how Hunter played a part in Kanan's escape. Maybe we'll get a show on what he does in hiding or how he met Hera before we see him again in Rebels. Next, number 2 is seeing how Order 66 affected the clones after the Purge. Since the Bad Batch takes place after Order 66, we get to see how the clones function after executing the order to purge all the Jedi. When Rex showed up in episode Battle Scars, he helped the Bad Batch get rid of their inhibitor chips, but he also revealed that, like them, not every clone was affected by Order 66. It seems like there may be more clones out there who, for some reason or another, were able to ignore the Emperor's call, but these clones must have a strong, independent mind or a mutation to not carry out the order. We saw in the Clone Wars that Rex resisted the chip for a few seconds, but eventually gave in. And Rex is already a strong, independent thinker, so very few clones would have had that same mindset as him. After a while, we can actually see the chip wear off, like with Hauser, how he announced to his squad that he did not like what the Empire was doing and actually got a few regular clones to join him. But regular clones weren't the same after the chip was activated. Tech takes notice of it in the first episode when all the clones were called for an announcement by the Emperor himself. This announcement was the same one we saw in Revenge of the Sith when Sidious addresses the Senate. Tech observes that the Rex start acting more like droids as if they were programmed because of their inhibitor chips. We can also see that the clones look slower and less efficient as they once were. It also seems like they miss more shots than they usually do and are waiting for orders than taking action like we usually see them do in the Clone Wars. Less independent mind thinkers and more programmed. With the clones being less steady, it shows the transition into the Empire and the start of the decommissioning of the clones into stormtroopers, which are not as superior as clones. Coming in, number 3 is how quickly the Empire moved to replace the Galactic Republic. The Galactic Republic has existed for a millennia, but after the end of the Clone Wars and the fall of the Jedi, the Galactic Empire replaced it. In a matter of weeks, the Empire removed all traces of the Republic from daily life. Credits were changed over into a new system, and everyone was forced into a new identification chain so that the Empire could keep track of them. Republic flags were replaced with a new symbol of the Galactic Empire, and clones were sent out to protect shipyards and enforce new laws. Also, the people of the galaxy were more than happy to see a new age of peace rising up. From the looks of things in the Bad Batch, the people of the galaxy were quick to cheer on Palpatine and his new Galactic Empire, fully believing the story that the Jedi were traitors who had planned to overthrow the Galactic Republic and rule the galaxy for themselves. Next, number 4 is knowing that the Kaminoans were in disarray. After the new Empire took over the galaxy, the Kaminoans were worried about how they would fit into the new era. After Tarkin announced that they would be canceling the clone production project, the Kaminoans were wondering how they would handle their financials since the clone project was their biggest source of income. As the show carried on, we learned that the Kaminoans didn't trust the Empire, so they started to make a counterplan. Unfortunately, Nala Se betrayed her own kind and told the Empire of the plot to go behind their backs. As to what this counterplan was, we don't know, but maybe it was another clone project, but one that would fight against the Empire. Maybe we'll get a follow-up to that plan in Season 2. And at number 5 is finding out what happened to Kamino. The episode Kamino Lost picks up just as Darth Sidious and the Empire are completing their stranglehold across the galaxy. Unfortunately, in this episode, it is revealed that with the clone troopers program being shut down after the war, the Empire no longer saw Kamino as a necessary asset. Orders from Grand Moff Tarkin, Kamino is barraged by fire from Vice Admiral Rampart, whose goal is to destroy all evidence of the clone production facilities and eliminate any remaining trace of civilization on the planet. Rampart mostly succeeds by the end of the episode. Tipoca City lies in ruins and can be assumed that the majority of the Kamino race was eradicated. Before the Bad Batch came out, we actually had an ending in the Force Unleashed game where Kamino was destroyed, when Starkiller ran a Star Destroyer into Tipoca City, destroying the cloning facility along with Commander Cody. Unfortunately, that story is no longer canon, but we now have an answer. However, this is not the end of cloning, because at the end of the show, Nala Se is being shown transported to an Imperial facility at Mount Tantus on the planet Wayland. As to what Nala Se is working on, who knows, but maybe we'll see in Season 2, maybe we'll lead up to The Mandalorian with Dr. Pershing and Grogu, but we'll just have to wait and see. If I missed anything, or if there's something I should have mentioned, let me know in the comments down below.